Hello, world. A very casual Frida Reba Darcy and Patricia O'Connor here, and this is going to be part 3 of repotting of the maple forest. As you can see, something seems to have happened to the pot. I went ahead and did a clean on it. It came out looking, it should. It's not like I took the patina off something that was ancient. This was a 3-year-old. This was a 3-year-old pot. It had very little water stain to it. Nothing really in the way of patina. Once I took off the dirt, it came out looking pretty nice. Got the screens back in place, rewired those puppies, and that's got it. What I didn't do is pick out a front. Excuse me 1 second. I'm not framed up to include you in on this, but I am picking this as a front for no reason in particular. They both looked pretty nice to me. I think the other side might have had a little bit more specks of gold in it than this side does. It's a little sparse, but whatever reason, this side screamed pick me, so it got picked. Anyway, that's it, and that's ready there. I suppose I should do a little pan over and show you the star attraction. It's just time not being Frida. There is our forest as it came out. So yeah, that's our guy. No, it's not on our couch. It's really on my turntable on a shop towel on my couch. And Frida's being pretty good about it. That's kind of her in, but she doesn't seem to mind giving up the space for now. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to load a small amount of substrate in the bottom, and then we are going to spread that out nice and neat. And then we're going to set this guy in there. I took quite a bit off the bottom already. I'm thinking it should sit farther down into the pot. We're not going to put as much substrate as we had in there last time also. So yeah, really, I don't know how well this reads right now, but this root spread here is just phenomenal. And some of these other guys, you can see these roots are just working their way up all the way on down. It's going to be some flatter, but if I flatten that completely out, I lose the definition of that, and I kind of lose the purpose of that. And that's being kind of like, I'm just going to say beginner's luck. I mean, in hindsight, I kind of figured out after the fact what was happening there. And what was happening there is as this muck washed out. I mean, as my, this cinder block actually soil, there was no muck. As that washed out, it exposed all those roots. And just a little while ago, all the stuff that was underneath there, I raked out as I was teasing all of this out. And I found a huge clover patch, that was getting huge and probably, it was hard to extract. It was like pulling a molar or something. So, it was probably costing us quite a bit of resources for the tree. So, I guess I should probably get started on, yep, there we go. We smacked the camera. This is us. We're ready to roll. All right, back to the pot. I'm going to try to do this. Manage our mess a little bit. Anyway, we're not going to go all super clean, but yeah. Yeah, about 4 of those maybe. And I'm going back with the boom mix. I've got this. I bought, I don't know, probably 3 bags, I think. And okay, let's fix that. I bought 3 bags, and I'm down to about 75%. of the last bag. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. That would have helped. If that would have been a full one, I would have been holding it there, but since I only filled my scoop up halfway, we'll do one more to grow on. We'll set the scoop off to the side. Make sure I don't, I can be kind of slap happy, and that's all fine and good, but I don't want to dump out 40 pounds of substrate on the floor in the living room. That's just, that would not make my day at all. Okay. Huh. Might go, what's happening there? Yeah, what's happening there is you're peeling up your screen you put down, Patricia. Gotta watch that. Okay. So, one more, una más. Probably could even get away with that, but I'm going to do one more, and I could spread that out a little better too. But one more, and we'll spread all that out and call that good. Oh, after I washed, I got all of the rocks and all the clay and anything that could be particulate of any size or magnitude that could cause us any type of problem. I took all of that and kind of raked that out with the brush, and then with the straw brush, not my hemp brush, but a straw brush. Then I took it to the sink once I knew I wasn't going to be flushing any rocks down the sink. How far are we? That's kind of maybe, yeah, that's going to be fine, I think. And then I'll wash it, and then after I did that, I put a layer of baby oil on it. And here are our pliers tonight. Pliers, chopsticks, and we've already dropped some stuff, so we're flying. I won't need that wire for anything. Those chopsticks will probably come in handy. Those tweezers might come in handy. All right, so oops. So that's got us. That's got us there. I think we pretty well got everything spread out. All right. Camera check one last time. Can I bring that forward? We're good. So I'm going to reposition my footing so I'm not reaching out too far from behind camera. Hi, Frida. How are you doing, babe? Last chance, last call for any adjustments, I suppose. Okay. All right, panning up a little. So that's our guy. Maybe back up a little too. Sorry about that. And a little bit more. So I'm gonna try to lock that off without knocking the camera off or something. Spaz. Okay. That's kind of us, I think. I instinctively dropped it in the center, and that kind of works for me. That's kind of what I think is works for me. I'm gonna slide that end over a little that way. Yeah. Now the um, the trees are not on their own turntable, which is a little unfortunate. That would be a good time to do another little rotate and reveal. But I think I'm pretty okay to sign off on that. I don't really have any problem thinking that's good to go. You know. So, and by good to go, I mean that's going to be our placement. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking there. Right in there should do us. Okay, so another million of these, and we should be right in there. I was worried that I had maybe already added uh, enough substrate that I was not going to see it drop down significantly, but I feel good about that. That came out really well. I have that sitting down in there. All of these roots are going to, that had been, their bottoms had been a little exposed to when that mound, you know, that's good. It's setting down in there a lot farther now. I'm pretty happy with that. I'll just say that. Let's see how we're doing here. Let's get those guys. And that chopstick you just dropped would be pretty handy right now. We've got this, not an issue. Start punching that stuff down in there a little bit. It's early, but look how much that settled. All right. I'm pretty happy with this. I think this is going to take us another couple of years. I didn't wire this tree in. I don't really think that's necessary. Um, Once that root mass is established, and I say that as a person who almost always wires down my trees to pots. When I was a kid, I didn't always do that, and I was always disappointed in a tree that got floppy or anything, and that would usually be that would usually be an indication of some of my wrongdoings. You know, I got clumsy around it or bumped into it, or but it also, when you don't wire them down, for me, this is clumsy Pat talking to you here. For me, to not wire one down is to leave it vulnerable, to have it try to establish its root growth and then get hit in such a way as to just tear all that up, pretty much nullifying what it had been doing. And so, for that reason, if I can counteract some of what I might do, or some of what the squirrels might do, or some of what the neighbor's cat might do, then that's just a little insurance. It's kind of like, for being a known commodity when it comes to maybe being a little clumsy, then maybe we can overcompensating is not a bad idea. That just makes things safer for the trees. If saying, yeah, you keep having Kenny moments like South Park, uh, causes you to overcompensate a little bit, the trees will be the benefactor of that. And not only will that, if you think you're accident prone, then that's a good way to go. And also, other people who aren't klutzes have accidents too. So whatever you can do to minimize that. nobody can minimize everything. You know, stuff happens. But yeah, this is coming out pretty nice. I'm really loving this. I am really liking this. I wish I had my little rotating table underneath it, but it's right now catching. Right now, it's kind of catching my slack. It's got some substrate on it, and it's on my couch, making sure none of that substrate gets away until I have a second to do that. Right, and we're just going to pull this. That worked. We'll just pull it closer to the center. Drink up. So I had this idea, y'all. In a little while, I have a project in mind that I want to make out of copper, which got me to thinking. I'm just going to go ahead and say it this way. Watching videos, I love a good challenge. You know, and what have we had? So far, I think Frida and I have taken part in several challenges. We took part in the $50 challenge and got a really good reward for it. I really love that little tree that I acquired as a part of that challenge. And though I would say I kind of failed at the challenge part because I believe I came in, I was kind of hard on me, but I believe I came in at like $53 or something, so it was pretty close. But that was with shipping because I didn't go get anything. I just had it all delivered to the door. And but the other challenges, what was it? The seven questions in 7 minutes, which I think I probably abbreviate or changed to 7 questions in 7 days because I can't answer what time is it in 7 minutes. That was a lot of fun. So when it came to this other challenge, I heard of one when I was watching videos not too long ago, and I kind of wanted to take part in it. And also, part of me also wants to tell the person who offered up the challenge, I haven't seen anybody else accept this challenge either, and it's not because I don't want to. If you get word of this, I just kind of wanted you to know. Bonsai by the Sea did like a Yamadori, ultimate Yamadori challenge or something like that. The idea being that you take a tree that you have collected, either Yamadori, like from the mountains or whatever, or Yardadori from the urban Doria. So, and then you instead of then putting it in a bonsai pot, you repurpose something that hadn't been a bonsai pot. He did a forest. I don't recall what the trees were now. I remember thinking that I liked them. And he used a little red wagon, the part of the wagon, as a long, shallow steel, old red, had cool patina to it. And that was his challenge. And he challenged everybody else. And I thought, that would be fun. And I had thought that I would take part in this challenge by now. And to that end, I think he even mentioned it at one point that he hadn't seen anybody accept this challenge. And the whole time I was thinking, that's a good trick. I mean, it has to be somebody who is just came across a Yamadori or has got Yamadori or this, on their mind when they're at a nursery. It would also work, I suppose, is if you asked to dig in the dumpster of the nursery or something and see what, that would have probably been an acceptable way to get some material. What I did was I thought I had finally scored some coastal redwoods. While on a walk with Frida, we were walking down the sidewalk, and there next to the sidewalk was a grove of coastal redwoods, 2 of them, which I believe are maintained by the city because it's like city right away or something. And they keep every little sprig cut. Those 2 redwoods are the only thing growing on that patch. with the exception of two little sprouts that had come up that were about an inch tall, and one of them was kind of hockey stick shaped, like perhaps it had already gotten stepped on, or maybe gotten weed eaten or something. So it was kind of capital L upside down shape, is what I would say. So I was going, wow! After all that time of trying to get a little coastal redwood, here's two sprouting right here. So I got my purse that has my scissors and my spoon and a little plastic chisel that you would use to remove buttons on interiors without scratching up your interior. It's basically a kit I use for collecting moss. It's a it is a copy of a Prada bag, so that you just look like a girl on the go with your fake Prada bag, but it has scissors, a little shovel, a spoon, and a couple of paint scraper type devices that are made out of plastic, so that I can scrape moss without tearing it all up. And it's got little Ziploc baggies so that I can have something to do with the moss once collected. So with that in hand, I went back and got one of the little coastal redwoods and said, see how it goes. Don't be a pig. They're not in a good place for trees that to have a chance. You don't see so much as a sprig of clover here. They keep everything meticulously weeded. As soon as it's seen, it will be gone. But on the other hand, see if this one lives before you take any more. And mine was doing well, and it rained again, and I thought, well, that's pretty rare. They've gotten more rain than any sprouts have gotten lately. Maybe since the one I got lived, I could go get that other one and we could make a little grouping out of it. Maybe I could even let that be my Yamadori challenge if I could come up with some kind of a little pot. So I got a couple of little milk cartons and some substrate, and I went walking down the sidewalk to where the dawn redwoods were. And first I saw one, and then I saw the other, and I got down really on my knees, really down there close, and I stuck my trawl into the ground, my cement trawl into the ground because it's sharp and diamond shaped, and made a little square around the little tree. And then I went, wow, that looks like more. And I looked really close, and it had blooms. I don't know what the hell it is, but I do know that coastal redwoods don't bloom. And the blooms aren't open, the flowers aren't open, but they're little closed yellow flower buds, like, I don't know, what we called milkweed when I was a kid, maybe goldenrod or whatever. Not crabgrass, because it had a hardwood body. So anyway, no Yamadori connection from me. I don't know what the hell I absconded with, but it's still and all. I'm gonna wait and see what the blooms look like, but I have no idea what that is. So that kind of took the fun out of my coastal redwood. But you know, something else while I'm talking about that, when it came to what was I going to use for a repurposed pot, I had actually kind of thought about this part. That's a cap for plumbing. It's just a little copper cap. You drill a half a dozen holes there in the bottom, 2 for wire, and then 2 more maybe for that are the drainage, and then the wire, all, you know how you do it. You're going to have 2 big drainage holes there, and then you're going to have a couple of little wire holes. Anyway, that I could have made that, but here I don't know what copper would do to a tree. I know that whenever people buy stuff to kill roots, it's blue crystals, and I've been told from watching YouTube videos on how to plate copper that you should use those tree killing crystals because they say they are copper. And if copper is what you use to kill roots with. I'm thinking it's probably not a good idea to use copper as a little copper cap for plumbing. Even if I've decorated it, I wasn't just going to use it. I was gonna add a ring to it, or maybe make a ring around the base of it, so that and maybe put a ring around the top of it, and then take three tiny little rings and put it on the bottom, and make little feet, and it would have been like repurposed copper. Might even have gone so far as to do some vinegar or something and get some patina going out of it. That was kind of my ideas. But if anybody knows offhand whether or not copper lining in a pot, or a little pot made out of a little recycled copper or something would kill a plant, I would tell me I'm dreaming in the comment section. I know as materials go that it is kind of pricey, but a lot of our bonsai pots are pretty pricey too. And if you drop a piece of copper, you're probably not going to break it. So if it in itself doesn't cause more problem than it's worth, it might be a pretty cool little thing. This is like a 3-inch plug that's got a connector. That's a connector, and then that would be a 3-inch piece of tubing, and that's what I hold substrate in. And I love solder and stuff. It's fun. Can't do it in the apartment. That's strictly forbidden, and as it should be. I mean, that could burn something could happen, and that could actually cause a serious fire. Also, I'm not sure what happens. I guess it can't be too bad, or plumbers would all be succumb to something awful. But I don't really know what would happen if you were exposing yourself to fumes from lead solder or copper solder or silver solder inside of a building. I don't think that would be the best thing for the old lungs. I'm guessing that it would not be a good thing. I gave this pot a good inspection, and also gave it the thump while I had it empty. It rang true, I guess I would say. I mean, it's healthy, no cracks. So pretty happy about that. And yeah, okay, all right. I'm going to keep working this in a few places, but for the most part, I think it's just settling in and a lot lower, and it looks a little bit more centered. And I'm pretty stoked with what I'm seeing so far. Yeah, pour all that light dirt in there. When we water, we will water it until all of the sand or the mud-colored agua runs out. That's how you do that. Start up here, laying some of that down and letting it filter down. I don't think I'm going to have to worry about this running over as much as I was the other, and I shouldn't have to pile it up like I did the other in the beginning. That's rude. Leave that alone. Happy. Easy. Go tromping in the woods. So Jay at Blue Jay Bonsai and Nigel were both telling me about a video they saw today that I'm gonna have to go check out. 100 tree forest. That sounds awesome. I can't wait to see that. That sounds awesome. So I think that's pretty much what the whole thing is going to look like on top when I'm done with it. When it decides to moss up, and it will, because that's the way it's always kind of. I laid down the first layer of moss, but that stuff was very thick, very healthy, very dug in. It liked the amount of water it was getting, and it seemed to like that substrate pretty well. So yeah, I think this is going to come out. But when it decides to moss all up and stuff, that's going to be pretty much the look we have going for us. I think we're not going to get any more involved with it than that. We're working all that good old stuff in there. Also, this is where ambidextrous probably comes in. Maybe everybody can do that, but yeah. Next project, probably would have been a good time to show you the little shohin ball cypress pre bonsai. It's I'm really pleased with the way it got a pretty good chop. You know, it's kind of like when your kids go in with long Goldilocks and then they come out with a crew cut. It's like, oh my God, what happened? So it did get a pretty good prune, but it looks good. It looks like it's managing really nicely. It's got a nice base to it. Overall, I feel like the tree is healthy and thriving, and yeah, I'll have to include that on the next one. I was supposed to, and I forgot to show you how the little cypress. So yeah, that was like the same day that I did my big cypress trees. I brought in my tiny little cypress tree, and I did basically the same thing to it that we did to the big trees, and it was marvelous. It was pretty marvelous. I've been using the blunt end of this skewer this whole time. I'm just kind of trying to loosen everything up. I'm not trying to punch it in super hard. I don't want to bludgeon any roots or tear up any roots. A lot of little fine roots in there. Really, well, I mean, it's a little fine tree, so what else are they going to make? But no, nobody had any, I didn't see any huge hogleg tap roots coming out of the bottom of anything. It was very well spread out. Nothing was circling yet. There was still a little bit of akadama to go, but because I put a layer of akadama in the bottom that was pretty thick, and those trees had a fairly thick layer of that cinder that they were in, but it went underneath them quite a ways. So yeah, pretty happy with the way this is looking. There she goes. She's pouring the stuff on the floor now. That's when we know we're doing bonsai, when it looks like a party. How'd you get all that dirt in your house? I'm just kidding. We have a very hard-working little RoboVac and a maintenance plan. Gotta feed the horses, as they say. So the idea is to rake this off to where it's just the right height without having a bunch of boulders ready to fall out on the floor. But man, pretty cool, I think. Pretty cool. So I kind of make a little pile of rocks above where I want them, and then kind of start trying to get them to fall into place within reason. Within reason, I mean, they're rocks. They're going to do their thing. Yeah, there you go. Crack the pot before you get done with it. That is coming. This whole thing is coming along really good. Kotohime maples make these tiny, tiny, tiny little leaves, but if you look behind me, you're not going to see a lot of branching on those guys. And yeah, I cut 1 or 2 nodes off of every tree. Took at least I would say an inch or 2 off of every single tree in this grouping. But having said that, these are 3-year-old trees, going on 3-year-old trees, over 2+ year old trees, and you're not seeing a lot of, our secondary branching isn't all that. It's so tiny. It's so tiny. When do we get to the branching part? I'd love to see little branches like that on the end of some tertiary. That would be exciting to me. I suppose I should get back and start cutting back some of those, but anyway, at some point, I would like to see things grow a little farther out from the base of the tree, and to help me out a little there, you guys. That'll just come with time. The trunks have already gotten kind of fat and cool looking, and I just can't go on enough about the root flare that some of these guys are giving us. I mean, they give and give and give. They're like a regular Christopher Walken. So, okay. I'm going to piddle with this a little while longer. See how I got that dropping in there? I'd like to get this all into something that's not necessarily nailed in place, but at least is sustainable enough until the reinforcements get there in the way of some moss. More moss growing than thrown in. Well, I still have the moss. There's that. I do still have the moss. I can take quite a few of the lumps that I pulled out of this and resurrect them by turning right around and putting them on the hill, back on the hill. See how I do here. That's kind of the desired idea there. We kind of did that. So far, I think I've got something that I can water in without all of this pouring down the street. And that's kind of what I'm going for. Symbolic street, because this is all in miniature, but yeah. The main thing is that I can water it without all of this stuff pouring away. Yeah, heck yeah. Frida and I spent the day we spent the day in. I shot the video that I dropped earlier 3 times. I did the lap around with the sickle, fed Frida, introduced our concept, and then had camera failure, and then deleted almost every video that Frida and I have ever made to try to get a little data space, because that's what it was telling me, and I had no more data. And so after we did that, and then shut the phone off and turn the phone back on for a quick reset, I then attempted to shoot the video. I was probably only maybe 10 minutes into it the first time, and got about that far again before it happened again. So then I pulled out my old reliable phone, and that's about 3 years old, and charged it up. And when it charged up, I mounted it to the tripod, and we did that video for the third time. But it finally came out. I think it came out pretty good. And then when I dropped it, I had a really cool mix of friends show up for the premiere. Also nice. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked by the way all of that came out. And what I want is for that to do what it's doing. Cover up those roots, landslide its little happy butt down the hill a little bit. Okay, we're getting there, she says. All right, let's do another drop right here. You can hear that hitting the floor in the living room. I could move the bag underneath here if I'm going to keep pouring stuff right there, I suppose. That's better than making Higgins vacuum it up. We're Newton made of money. Anyway, that was kind of my idea. Put a pile of rocks up there, and then bump them loose and see what all falls off. And then do it again until you end up with something that's tiered. You know, it's kind of got some terraces to it, and at the same time it's fairly stable. When I water all of this stuff, it's just going to go washing down the hill. All right, where is that? Oh, this would have been a good time for that mallet. I have a rubber mallet. It's probably a good time for that. What else? Oh, here we go. Don't go breaking nothing. I don't feel like I'm doing it. Rubber handle. Yeah, crackpot. There you go. Okay. I want to see a little bit more. I want to see a little bit more behind here and there. And then let's see what that gets us. It got us away from our stuff, for one thing. Easy, easy, easy. Gonna be fine, dude. Take that, you damn trees. skewers you were looking for earlier. Okay. Feeling pretty good about this. I wouldn't say smug, but pretty good. Uh, 2020 Kotohime maples. That's the front. Again, look at that. I'm gonna add a little bit more there. That was almost our little rotate there. Park some more substrate right in here. Some more strata right there. Okay. Is the camera okay where I just smacked it? Kinda okay. Okay-ish. Get in there. Get in there. Be supportive. Be the rock. Do the rock, be the rock. All right. Okay. Give us a little rotate on that. If I said I wasn't going to be piddling with it until it goes back out on the porch in the morning, I would not be telling you the truth. I'll probably look over here in a few minutes and see something that I will think now that I missed, or something. You know, it's kind of like do something, let it settle in for a second, take your eyes off of it, go stare inside the refrigerator or do something completely unrelated, and then come back and look at it, and the first thing you notice, maybe you work on that. Yeah, a lot of times. Or maybe you're impressed, or maybe you go, yeah, I don't know why I let that fly. That's not really going to fly. Just break up your perspective. Break all that off if it's not going to stay. All right, that's it. That is our Kotohime maple 20 maple tree forest. We'll do a nice little rotation right here. I think that will replenish and rejuvenate these guys. They are still mounded up. Had I flattened that all out, my trees would have all been. I could have done that, but I would have had to divide up the trees in the little circles or little squares or something, and then replant them. And they would have all been, because they've grown basically at these angles. The angles haven't really changed. The angle of the hill hasn't changed. I just took off the bottom of it. Didn't put as much substrate in the bottom this time around. And I actually raised that up last time. It was on a layer of stones the first time. About a year ago, I took that out. All right, here's going to be our rotation. We're just going to do this right now. Do a little quick rotation. There's that one little free tree. I'll put some of my little pieces of soil or my little pieces of moss back in there. A few little clumps in choice places. And then once we do that, that stuff can take over pretty much as it wants to. Wherever it grows, I tend to have to weed less. And speaking of weeding, I think we pretty well got. I think we did a root canal. I mean, some of those roots were really deep. Like those were substantial little trees unto themselves that I never asked for. And I gotta kind of wonder, you know, when that gets away, you know, the plant kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I just kept trying to pull it up, but it was strategically located and all I kept doing is just pulling the leaves from it. So it ended up one little bit of clover, a little clump of clover, had a fairly substantial root mass that went all the way down to the bottom of the pot, to the point where I'm concerned that I probably disrupted maple roots extracting that. And yeah. All right, I'm gonna stop playing with it. We're just gonna call that 20 Kotohime maples. I'm gonna bring that back around to the front. There's the front. We'll bring our display forward. There we go. There's our guys. Turn, and then turn in, tip up. That's our guys. There we go. Finished. What is this? Part 3, I believe it was, of our Kotohime maple forest. Now this is going to take us for another year. You know, we won't do anything else to the dang thing except water, feed, until this time next year. Like and subscribe if you guys hadn't already. I appreciate you, and Frida appreciates you. You may have heard her at one point sleeping and chasing dream squirrels. So yeah, thank you so much for watching.